A brief introduction, animated by Gamble. Ear rape. I show up. Paul tells me everybody online talks shit to him, and that I should talk shit to him, right? So what do? I go hard as fuck on him. The whole time they were talking about how they brought a cup of pee out and had him smell it like a week before, and he like gagged off just the smell of pee. So they're basically telling me that it would be funny to play a piss joke on him. And I go to the bathroom, I do take a piss, but not into a fucking cup. I put a little bit of water at the bottom of the cup. I come out and I fumble it on him. He reacts like it's actually pee. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna run with it. That's funny as shit. But now I got people threatening to find me and throw cups of pee at me in the streets. Like, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Look, I really don't want to get fucking doused in piss because I made a fucking joke on a podcast that I thought was funny as shit. Like, I don't know. I thought it was like a low setup, high reward joke. Up until every fucking numbskull online thinks that I'm really some piss tossing son of a bitch. So what I'm bringing up here basically is the very first episode I was on, Drunken Peasants, with PaulsEgo and myself. We got that big piss debate thing. Everybody thought it was real at the time. I was getting all these threats, and somebody just recently uploaded a little bit of a documentary on that time, and I was rewatching it, and I was like, I never really spoke on this like fully, I don't think. That was like a very short little thing, but now that I'm a more regular guest on the Drunken Peasants, you know, I know the guys a whole lot better than I did when I went on the show this first time. This very first time, you know, they had played me on with Onision. We'll get into that, but I didn't really know them very well at all. So this moment, I was just doing what I do. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the stuff I did with Leafy or even like raging on Onision and stuff. I was acting like a big bully, and they asked me to be a bully to Paul, and I did it because, I mean, come on, that's what I do. That's what I do, baby. Like, this got so big at the point that even Scarce reported on it, right?
And for our next story today, we have one here from the Drunken Peasants. Now, this is actually a podcast on YouTube. They have over 130,000 subscribers. I'm sure some of you guys know who they are. Now, these guys stream their podcast on YouTube live, okay? And they had a guest on recently called Billy the Fridge. This guy's around 100,000 subscribers. You guys might know who he is if you watch Leafy's videos. He's in a lot of Leafy's videos. And basically, Billy the Fridge and one of the hosts of the Drunken Peasants podcast, known as PaulsEgo, both had a pretty big fucking fight, dude. Towards the end of the live stream, it looks like Billy the Fridge and PaulsEgo actually almost fought each other, like literally attacked each other. And honestly, I think most of this is fake. I was talking to Billy the Fridge before, but it looks like Billy the Fridge threw some piss on PaulsEgo's face. And actually, PaulsEgo made a Periscope stream after the live stream talking about how his eye is really fucked up and how basically Billy the Fridge just threw piss in his face. And that was not even like planned or faked or anything. Like, he just straight up threw piss in his face. Now, I talked to Billy the Fridge about this. He told me specifically that it was just water and that PaulsEgo might have thought it was piss. But to be honest with you guys, I think it probably could have still been some piss that he threw at PaulsEgo. Not entirely sure. I don't know if he's lying to me or not, but I talked to a few people involved and they're telling me that it actually was piss. So that's some pretty disgusting stuff, and I hope it was just water. And for our next story today,
so like Scarce reported on this. Keemstar actually hit me up before Scarce, and he was like, Billy, what is up with this? Did you throw piss on this dude? And I, you know, Keemstar and I go way back, so I had to tell him. I was like, dude, it was fake. It was a stunt. We were just fucking around. So he didn't report on it. Scarce hit me up too, and I was like, man, it's not real. I wasn't gonna lie to Scarce or Keem. And Scarce was still like, no, fuck it, we're reporting this story. He was like, we're going with it. Scarce like, I'm pretty sure Billy probably did throw pee at Paul though, because Billy's a sicko. That was the story that was being played, right? And this dude, he did like a full documentary thing on the situation. It just came out today. His name's Admiral Murphy. It came out 2 days ago still. But like he really goes into depth on this. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because this guy is like borderline obsessive with this drunken peasant shit. So,
as of late, peasants had been attacked by many YouTubers they had once called friends. And slowly, the fan base was turning on the podcast, upset at the declining quality of episodes as of late. Peasants were getting fans upset with, quote, kayfabe, with fans accusing...
Kayfabe, if you guys don't know, is a wrestling term. People say wrestling's fake. Well, people in wrestling use the term kayfabe to remind other wrestlers that they're supposed to be on their shit. They're supposed to not be, like, breaking kayfabe. They're supposed to be... not letting the audience know that it's fake, right? So Drunken Peasants are big fans of wrestling. I was a big fan of wrestling. I felt like we could work together in a way. When they said fuck with Paul, I was like, I'm going to get into my wrestling repertoire, and I'm really going to dig into Paul. And I thought we were all on the understanding. You know, I didn't understand the fan base was on the spectrum. And they started freaking out on me like crazy. I had people threatening to come find me and throw piss on me in the streets. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's assault. Me throwing pee on Paul is a joke. But you guys are assaulting me. Shout out to Assaulty Paul.
Peasants of creating a lot of false drama on the show for views. Episode 307 and 310 was still very much in the memory of fans.
I might have jumped
for just
a little
being
too soon into
terrible
this.
episodes and not really covering
This is
videos.
where he gets into
and while
the
there were
Bill
many
Fridge.
decent episodes after that, it would all come crashing down again on episode 328. On this episode, the peasants had a live studio guest on, Billy the Fridge. He was a friend to Onision for whatever crazy reason.
For crazy reason? Because Onision, he said Onision? Because Onision has been a good dude to me. I can't hate on Onision at all. Yeah, a lot of people think he's crazy and he might do stuff that you don't agree with, but I'm 500 pounds and you don't agree with gluttony, but you're here watching me. Fools. No, I'm kidding. We all sin is what I'm saying, West Coast. Go on.
And the peasants had talked about getting him on the show just to hang out, as he lived in the Seattle area. Drama started early between Paul and Billy, however, with Paul making unwanted sexual advances at Billy.
I get it.
Wow, already
We
the
just
best
met
guest
Billy.
ever.
There's a whole backstory to this that I'm gonna tell you when this plays through, but watch.
Already the best guest
And
ever.
truth
Wow.
is coming. Truth is flying at you, Paul. Truth is flying at you, man.
Whatever,
Well,
man.
it stood out to me. That's all. And maybe, I don't know whatever you put in the drink. I'm feeling a little loose with it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a little loose.
I got
That's
you
all.
loose. Well, that's why I dosed you.
Why are you roofing guests, Paul?
Well, because we do this whole altered perspective thing. You know,
you just want to make sure he's fucked up enough to actually be on
Exactly.
our show.
I got pretty drunk, but I didn't get like uncontrollably drunk. I want you guys to like say that now, because this video gets fairly intense, and it wasn't because I was drunk. This is just how I do it, baby.
exactly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Then he said something about some experiment or something with the butt stuff. I don't
Dude,
know.
whatever.
Okay, so Paul's about to go into this. Just a little heads up. The actual story behind this, I was in the studio with Ben and Paul before TJ and Scotty really came in. I was just bullshitting with Ben and Paul, and I brought up this scenario to Paul jokingly, just like as an icebreaker, talking with him. And then I referred to the scenario, and Paul re-said the exact scenario that I brought up to him. So it's like so weird and out of like pocket, but like I literally put this idea in Paul's head earlier, and he pushed it on me, and I put it back in his head like he's like a sicko for suggesting it. But I was the whole one that suggested it before the podcast. It was hilarious how it played out.
Whatever, dude. I wasn't being.
Hey,
Yeah,
Does anyone-
I heard that.
Dude,
I heard that.
All I said
Oh,
to
yeah.
Billy, was this, and I don't think this is gay at all or weird, but whatever. He
Whatever,
seems
Paul.
to think so. I said, dude, let's get some concentrates. You know, some.
you can see me shaking my head up and down because he's literally going through what I had just told him before the episode started. But I think it was like obviously a joke, but it's fucking hilarious.
Oil, some weed oil. I'll get sativa and put it down my pee hole. and then you get indica and put it up your butthole, and then I'll fuck you up the butt, and we'll see how high we get. Is that gay?
That's not what hybrid means, Paul.
Yeah, no,
That's not a hybrid.
I wanted
dude.
to make a hybrid strain with you, Billy. I was just, dude, I'm a big fan, and it's just whatever, dude.
I have a lot of
it's the
fans that
same.
haven't stuck their dick in my ass, Paul.
Well, I wanted to be.
So, like, that whole idea is just psycho. But when Paul brought it back up, that was the catalyst for the entire podcast saying that I had every right to, like, be mad at Paul because he threatened to sexually assault me. But I was the one that put it in his head to jump off with.
Be one of the ones that has.
Motherfucker.
I know what's wrong with
Wow,
him.
Paul.
What?
First Jude Law. Now our guests come here. Billy can't even come here and just enjoy a beverage.
If I
without
was a
getting
woman,
roofied.
you'd be getting fucking rape charges for saying that to me, right?
He should.
Right?
Well, I didn't know, dude.
You're lucky I don't
look,
piss
dude.
in the wrong bathroom,
when I came
dude.
down and showed you up, I caught vibes, and I'm sorry, dude. I thought you were throwing me some vibes that I did. It was clearly not true.
I'm a very pleasant person to be around. I'm sorry if you took that as a fucking flirtation.
Dude, you gave me fuck me eyes one time in the elevator on the way up.
Those are my regular eyes, Paul. I have fucking resting fuck me eyes. Okay?
God, you are a beautiful man.
Yeah.
Tension.
Yeah, I am. So this was like the beginning of the podcast when I jumped on. This was like we just got into this, and as the podcast rolls out, we just get more and more violent back and forth. You could see, but like the whole time, like when I walked in, Paul was like, "Yeah, you know the fans they talk shit on me all the time, so it'd be great if you just like talk shit on me. The fans will agree with it." And I was all aboard. I was like, "Fuck it, let's go." And this is how it devolved.
Tensions would continue to rise as the other peasants continued to get under Paul's skin throughout the episode, and Billy joined in. The rest of the show host knew already how much Paul had been disgusted by seeing YouTube videos of people drinking piss. Well, Billy went off camera for a short time, and then would return with the infamous red Solo cup.
This guy is like saying it all like it's super serious too. Like he was bitten by the kayfabe bug when this happened. He thought for sure I was like the most evil man ever, tossing young cup of pee-pee on our hero PaulsEgo.
The one cup that could bring the drunken peasants crashing down forever.
It's TJ.
Forever.
Oh my God, dude, is this fucking serious,
Got a
dude?
fucking nice present for you, Paul.
Here you go, Paul.
Here you go, dude.
Paul, here you go. Here's
All right.
fucking Paul.
The look of fear.
You can see the cup, it flipped, and I had a little water in it so it would splash all over Paul. Give him like that initial shock reaction of like, oh my God, there's wet stuff in here. But then Paul, being the consummate professional that he is, he ran with it. So I thought, you know, this is going to be all good.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
Oh, dude, this fucking reeks. It's piss.
Oh, God, dude.
Hello, everybody. Paul is currently wearing the red cup apparel with the yellow stream, the yellow stream of Del Fridge de
Oh, Paul's
Pelé.
throwing up, dude. Throwing up right now.
And all the guys, like, they're goading it. They're like pushing it forward because, like, I guess like before this, Andy Worski was a guest and he called out Paul for being like a shit member of the peasants, and so like this was like the splashback was to try and like paint Paul as just a horrible person to the guests. And because I was from Seattle, this was gonna lead into like a little narrative storyline where me and Paul were gonna actually like break down and do some shit at like a fan meetup or something dumb, but it would have been entertaining. But everybody at home, not everybody, but the vocal minority, the young Spurgers, the Spurger Kings, totally tripped out on the entire situation. the press situation.
What the fuck, Paul?
Hey, Paul, you okay?
What the fuck, dude?
I didn't explain it was water. Like, we never planned, like, I never planned this out with them that I was going to throw the cup at Paul. That was all for realsies, right? Like, these guys are watching right now, and based on Paul's reaction, they're probably not sure whether or not it was real pee. Because I didn't just run this by them like, yeah, guys, I'm going to go in the back room and I'm going to take a red cup and I'm going to put a little bit of pee in it or a little bit of water in it and say that it's pee when I throw it on Paul. And this was all a reaction, like, from me coming out of the bathroom, having just taken a piss. Probably a nice waft of urine was in the air because I had that stank dick. Not true. And then I took the red cup, had literally like just maybe this much water in it, just a tiny little droplet of water. And when I came over to Paul, I went to hand him the cup like I was going to make him sniff it. And then I tumbled it, and it had just enough in it to splash all over him. So, like, I think Paul knew it wasn't pee. The other guys, I'm not so sure. Like, unless it was all psychosomatic and Paul really thought it was pee at first. But he's still, like, the whole thing, we planned going back and forth, and we planned ending this video with a big screaming match, maybe even knockdown drag out.
Dude,
He'll be
Paul,
fine.
you all right?
He'll be all right. He's fine.
He thumbs up.
Yeah.
I threw a fucking piss at
Thumbs
this guy.
up.
He thumbs up.
Thumbs up
I
for
should let him
thumbs
fuck
up.
me after that. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
you should.
Holy
what the
shit,
fuck,
Paul. I'm
dude?
sorry I ever talked shit to you.
So this is the part where after I threw the piss on him, Paul's like thumbs up, he's like, no, it's okay, we're all good, because he's trying to keep the show going, and I'm keeping kayfabe going. Like, I'm like, nope, this is where I'm gonna turn the dial up, and I'm gonna make Paul look, I'm gonna make me look like I'm making Paul my bitch, and at this point, I think this is really where the fan base really started to be like, no, this is just mean. Like, because the other guys are agreeing with me, and everything is just like escalates ridiculously at this point. You'll see me just start calling Paul a bitch and just like really going at him.
Oh, why don't you
I
go to the
realize how
bathroom?
much of my fucking bitch
Why don't you go to the
were.
fucking bathroom?
No,
Holy shit.
Dude, Paul, you seriously can't run to the fucking bathroom if you're gonna fucking throw up, dude?
I just threw piss, kayfabe, threw piss on Paul. Paul is kayfabe puking. He's not really puking. But anybody who's watching this has to see that I threw piss on this guy, and Scotty's making the joke because Paul reacted by puking that that he should have ran to the bathroom. It's moments after I threw piss on him, piss that should have been in the bathroom, and he's making this joke. It's very funny, and nobody gets it because at the time they were all freaking out. Like, oh my God, Billy threw pee-pee. How could you be mad at Paul for puking? Billy threw pee-pee. It's a fucking joke. It's so funny. To me, at least, it's so funny.
Like,
Are
really?
you fucking kidding me, Scotty?
No, I'm fucking
He threw a fucking cup of piss in my lap.
Well, you talked a lot of shit about it, man. You said you wanted to fuck him.
Talking his shit about
Yes,
him.
you did.
Oh, you
yes,
did?
you did, Paul. Yes, you fucking did. You know what? You got what you fucking deserve. You should run to the bathroom to clean that.
Paul, I'm a
throwing
fucking
shit.
man, and if some other man threw piss at me, I'd fucking fight him. So, whatever. You didn't.
You
didn't
back
talk
down,
shit to me.
Paul.
You know what, dude?
How can a
Whatever,
little bitch
dude. You're
talk
from the
shit to me?
streets.
How could a little punk ass
The
bitch ever
mean
talk
streets
shit
of
to me?
Seattle,
Paul.
y'all.
Okay, this is where it escalates. Like the whole episode. If you watch the entire episode, it's episode 328 of the Drunken Peasants Podcast. A few months back, if you watch the whole episode, I'm taking jabs at Paul all throughout the episode, and the fan reactions in chat were like, "Billy's hilarious. I love Billy, best guest" type things. A lot of people were really on board with me up until about this moment here is when everybody's like, this is actually just mean, and the peasants are not defending Paul. They're taking the side of this guest who just threw pee on Paul, and this is when it really starts to amp up.
Everybody look out, Billy the Fridge is here, representing Capitol Hill, dude, the mean streets down on Pike Place, where every once in a while a fight breaks out, but the cops come and break it up. The mean
The fights break out all the time on Capitol Hill because that's the nightclub area where people come to get drunk, and it seems like every Friday or Saturday night someone's getting stomped out on the hill because people step on their Pumas or something. But it's still not the mean streets. Paul makes a good point here.
streets of C-Town. Fuck you.
Things quickly spiraled out of control as Paul and Billy became more frustrated with each other, and the rest of the peasants continued to push things to the brink.
I love this fucking narrator, by the way. He's taking this so seriously. It's so funny to me.
Until someone spilled the salt.
You fucking piece of shit! Okay, so there's a little bit here in the episode that you didn't see. It cut. You see my camera now is over where Paul's camera was. They had just suggested that I was replacing Paul on the show. Shout out to KLRock750 for the $2 super chat. You ask, favorite Tupac song? It's probably Hit 'Em Up, but I like a lot of them. But Hit 'Em Up is just poetic murder. And back to this. They put me over Paul's window, and they were saying that I was going to replace Paul just to amp up making Paul angry. So let's see how far this goes. This is when I really start to yell and get into wrestler mode.
Damn, Paul. How do you respond to that, Paul?
Don't fucking call me out! I'm a fucking guest! I came here for you! You wanna fucking call me out?
You know what?
Damn.
Fuck you!
You know what, Billy? You know what, Bill?
Fuck you! And looking back on it, I think it's pretty obvious that we're fucking around. But there were a ton of people who were, Billy got too drunk. Billy just lost his cool and nobody defended him. Nobody defended Paul when Billy attacked Paul. Paul was the one that told me to act like this. It was all the storyline, right? We were going to have a lot of fun with this. Audience didn't want that to happen.
Billy.
Oh, fuck!
Billy.
Kill
Billy. Let me tell you something, Billy. I'm going to be real with you real quick. You came on my show.
Oh, is this the Paul show? Pretty sure this is the TJ show with friends and Paul. Didn't mean to slight Ben there. Didn't mean to slight Scotty at all. I just thought it was funny saying TJ and friends because someone said that on a I think it was a YouTube comment somewhere. Someone referred to as the Drunken Peasants as TJ and friends. And I thought it would be funny to say TJ and friends and Paul. Because as you can see, I explained. With friends!
Well, whatever.
And Paul!
Whatever.
And Paul!
At least I'm and
you're not
Paul.
a friend, Paul!
At least I'm and
You're
Paul.
a fucking laugh track who stepped
Billy.
out of his boundaries!
Let me tell you something, Billy.
Fuck you! You're a fucking laugh track that stepped out of his boundaries. Look at how the guys react to that, too. They're like, oh, shit. Billy is going hard. And Paul's not even on camera now because they covered up his camera with my camera to fuck with him. Which was part of the storyline. Like at the end of this, we all hugged it out and, you know, it was like good times. And we were planning on doing a whole lot more immediately. We had to take a break because of how fucking mad the audience got.
Let me tell you something, Billy.
Laugh track that stepped out of his boundaries.
You look like you wrote Game of Thrones on a piece of toilet paper, you piece of shit.
Paul standing up. That's
the quote right there. I don't give a fuck. I don't gas my shit up too much, but George R.R. Fartin, you look like you wrote Game of Thrones on a piece of toilet paper, you piece of shit. Sorry, I fucking popped for that line.
Let me tell you something, Billy. Where I come from, you come in a man's house, right? No matter how you disagree with a man on what terms, you talk to him the way you're talking to me right now.
Yep. So Paul's standing up. This was the part where we were going to end the podcast. Like, we were going to end it on, like, a big screaming match, trigger everything, and then like a fight. And I was ready to actually fight it out. I guess they cut the camera right when Paul lunged at me. But I had Paul in a headlock for like hella long. The camera was off, and I didn't know. And they're like, Billy, camera's off. I was like, oh, okay. My bad. Hey! Ferocious Fuhrer with the $20 donation to Donut Nation. Saw you were streaming, so I figured I'd donate some money. Rock on, Billy, 5th Peasant. Thank you. Thank you, Ferocious Fuhrer, for your very generous donation to the Donut Nation.
You get a fucking bottle broken over your head,
Where
bro.
I come from, Paul.
Yeah?
You talk however the fuck you want because you ain't a pussy. Don't matter if I'm in my house, your house, or the fucking streets of fucking Madera, California. Wherever the fuck I am, I talk however the fuck I want. You got a problem with that?
Dude.
Your problem will
Okay.
grow short. Just
You wanna
like
talk
the
how you
fucking
want?
lifespan,
Just let it happen,
Paul.
Ben.
Talk how you want in the streets, then.
I
Show
don't
goals,
talk,
dude.
Paul.
Don't
Talk
worry
how you
about
want
it.
the streets.
Talk about bottles?
Hey, Sunrise with the $20 donation to Donut Nation. Billy, I just remembered you gave me a CD at the Seattle meetup, and I promised I'd pay for that. I forgot until now, man. You fucking rock. Hey, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the donation, and I'm glad you got the CD, and I'm glad you wanted it at the jump. And now that you've paid me some cash too, that is even better. Thank you very much for your donation to the Donut Nation. What the fuck do you have, Paul? Paul said, you fuck around with the streets, you get hit with a bottle. And I just was like, I happen to have this bottle of Jack Daniels that was basically empty. And so, now we got a foreign object. Referee, ring the bell.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck
So you're gonna
do
come in
you
my house and
have?
break a fucking bottle over my head now?
Jack Daniels
You
bottle.
insane
I
fucking
bust this
lunatic.
over your fucking head. I get an endorsement.
You crazy
You get a
fucking
concussion
weirdo with a
back.
donut around his
I'll
neck. Fucking get
kill
out of here.
you With this fucking bottle, Paul.
Get out of my fucking
You
studio.
wanna fucking come at me, you dumb shit? Come on. Sit the fuck down or
Dude,
shut
eventually the
fuck
fucking
up.
gravity will pull me
You
over there.
option.
Go, Paul.
Sit
Go see
the
what.
fuck down.
Go, Paul. Go, Paul. Paul's like, Paul's still telling the jokes and trying to like remain chill because, like, for all intents and purposes, he's an employee of this podcast. He can't just go and fight me, right? So this plays out very well into the storyline that Paul would try and stay back and make it chill, and I would just be like, barking. And then this is where the guys are like, green light, motherfucker.
You gonna take that shit?
Fuck up.
You gonna let this dude run the show, Paul?
You don't want.
Can you handle it?
I fucking guarantee you don't want option number 3.
Are you guys gonna let me fucking
Sit
Do
the
what you want,
fuck
Paul.
take a swing at this
Yeah,
faggot?
Shut
Make the show.
fuck
Are you gonna let me
up.
take a swing at this faggot?
I don't give a
He's
shit.
running his fucking mouth, dude.
Do what you want,
Take
Paul.
a swing, then
If you got the
better
balls to
take
do
a
it, then
nap,
do it.
you dumb
Paul's
son of a
backing
bitch.
down.
Paul's backing down. They're just goading him on the whole time. I just want to quote, you can take a swing, but then you're going to take a nap, you dumb son of a bitch. I got all the best one-liners for, like, fat man action. I want to be in an action movie. That's what we need to do next is get me signed on to play the next, I don't know, the next Spider-Man. I think this last one didn't do too well. I think I'd make a great Spider-Man, some sort of action movie. I hit them one-liners, baby.
This
Put you to
motherfucker.
fucking sleep.
You know what, dude? I'm pulling the
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Michael Heisenbein with the $5 donation. The donation, you say I'm poor, but you just gave me $5. That means you're rich at heart, and I'm even richer. I could buy like a cheeseburger now. Thank you for your donation to the Donut Nation. And I just want to point out that Paul, even though this was kayfabe, I want to point out that Paul waited till I took a drink of the whiskey. I'm going to just go back here just a little inch here. He waited till I took a drink of the whiskey to get buck. Even though this is kayfabe, Paul waited for that sucker punch moment. Watch this shit.
Sit
Do
the
what you want,
fuck
Paul.
down.
Take a swing at this faggot.
Shut
Make the show.
fuck
Are you gonna let me
up.
take a swing at this faggot?
I don't give a
He's
shit.
running his fucking mouth, dude. Do what you want,
Take
Paul.
a
Take that,
swing,
Paul.
then
If you got the
better
balls
take
to do
a
it, then
nap,
do it.
you dumb
Paul's
son of a
backing
bitch.
down.
Fuck this
I'll put you to
motherfucker.
fucking sleep.
You know what, dude?
That Ben guy is so handsome. So, hey, Lord Magicus with the $5 super chat. Seeing you and Paul together on DP is my favorite part of that podcast. Dude, I'll tell you what, the 24-hour podcast when it was just me and Ben and Paul, I watch that sometimes. Like, I've watched it a couple times, different parts of it, and I'll laugh my ass off at the interaction between the three of us. Right here, though, watch me take this drink, then watch Paul come in for the attack.
Dude, I'm pulling the
Yeah. Oh shit. all right.
The episode ended abruptly.
The episode ended abruptly. I straight up had Paul in the headlock. And then, like, Ben was like, "Oh, we're off cam, Billy. We're off cam." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I had to let him go, but I was ready to go as far as possible with that fight, just for like web clip stuff, without breaking anything, right? Like we weren't really mad, so like it was a controlled chaos. But this is where this guy really gets in depth about it and starts like going. It's like he's trying to expose that it was like some fucked up shit to Paul when it was kayfabe, motherfucker. Watch this. This is hilarious. This guy really gets into it. You could tell he's on Paul's nuts, kind of like I am.
Billy, threatening to sue Paul over Twitter, showed the rage another guest had at
Yeah, Ben just said we almost did a thing where we put Paul through a table. That's what was going to build up to. It would have been fucking awesome. It would have been awesome, I swear. Imagine me just giving Paul like a rock bottom, landing down through the table with him. Some savagery. But no, this...
the show, and Paul was forced to live stream later that night on the channel to apologize to the audience for his unprofessional outburst.
And I responded to him once on Twitter, and then I got a really angry phone call from the guys saying that not only like that I needed to do something about the way that I acted, because that it was unacceptable, that it got physical.
Look at Paul's eye, too. Looks hella swollen shut. This is where, like, I think... I don't know how the podcast alone would have been, but this extracurricular stuff is really when the fan base started, like, really coming after me. They were like, you fucked up Paul's eye, and he said it was all real, and it's like, I could handle it. Like, I was sitting back, and I was like, okay, I've been through this with Leafy, but with Leafy, it was a bunch of little kids. This is like grown-ass men saying they were going to throw piss on me. It was funny.
Between Billy and I, and
Ryby says this made you mad at Ben? That's because you're dumb, Ryby. You believed in fucking kayfabe. We're entertainers, bitch! No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't call you bitch. You're a lovely goddess. Go on.
so that's what I'm here to do, I guess, to tell you guys my end of the story. I didn't mean for it to go that way, but when he literally threw piss on me.
However, many fans were attacking
He literally threw piss on me. This was all part of the storyline. I'm so mad that it didn't, like, lead up to some crazy shit.
the show over this episode. Some loved it, but many fell into the following two camps. The first were those white knighting for Paul, saying how terrible the rest of the peasants were for making the situation worse.
It was so funny. Like, the moment where I threw the piss on him and Scotty's just like, Paul's puking. And Scotty's like, oh, come on, Paul. You can't puke in the bathroom. You can't puke in the bathroom. And it's like, I just threw piss on him in the same area. And nobody was talking shit to me at all about it. They were all like completely complicit with my dastardly deeds. Ryby got worked. That's why she's mad. She was outraged.
Then getting upset at Paul and forcing him to apologize. Over Twitter, TJ and TJ's brother didn't care and continued to attack
PaulsEgo's rules for running a successful podcast. 1, make sexual advances at the guest. 2, insult the guest. 3, punch the guest. It was It was so funny because like all the guys were like supporting me like I didn't do anything wrong. And if you rewatch the video, I'm just raging. After I threw the piss at him, I'm like, you're a little bitch. You're going to let me throw piss on you? And I'm just fucking raging. And they're just completely chilling, complicit. Like, gosh, Paul, you going to take that? You going to take that? You little bitch. Just egging him on. And I swear, if it would have played out the way we had talked about it, you guys would have been entertained at least. Probably would have been angry like Ryby, who took the bait. But a lot of people did because it got heat.
Paul and the fans defending him. The other camp was the kayfabe camp that believed this whole incident was fake.
What absolute garbage. If I wanted to listen to this kind of trash, I'll go read /B or go to Reddit. I've watched every one of your guys' videos since the beginning. This by far is the bottom of the barrel. Get your shit together. Thank you, Kev Pie, for your honest opinion. Get your shit together.
Thus, they were upset that this was what the show was becoming, and wanting the podcast to return to the glory it once had during the era of classical peasantism. PaulsEgo, though, on his Periscope said it was genuine, and that he didn't lie on his Periscopes and gave the fans the complete truth.
Guys, I don't lie on my Periscopes. Billy attacked me and threw piss at me. But look at how Paul even says it. Paul even says it in a way where it's like he's giving himself an out for the story. Like, if you're smart, he didn't even lie. Like, if you're smart, you can see how he's playing the words. But if you're like a sucker, if you're a mark, the kayfabe is working on you. But watch how Paul does this with great care to not give up the act, but still not completely say, guys, I wouldn't lie on Periscope. This is Periscope. This is real. This is real Paul.
Here fans got the real Paul.
Is this a joke or is it real? I'd be honest with you guys, I would not have put a video up on the main Drunken Peasants channel for a joke. That's not a channel that we just I know TJ's uploaded some things there before, but
I wouldn't put it on the main channel as a joke, and then immediately says the main channel's been used before as jokes, right? He immediately says right afterwards, well, you know.
I mean, it's not a channel that we fuck around on all that often. So you can, you know.
We don't fuck around on it all that often, so you can, you know. Like, if you read between the lines here, it's obvious it was kayfabe. But the whole point of kayfabe is that you can't break character. Paul had to say this, and he said it in such a well-executed way that if you're hip to the game, if you know what kayfabe is, if you know the story, he's giving you the truth in between the lines. But everybody's like not hip, so that's what happens. They get caught up in the shitstorm or the piss storm.
Sure, Paul. Yeah.
It's not like Paul was lying and would say so otherwise on future episodes.
He wouldn't hit Onision. There's a video of me and Onision where I'm up in his bedroom and like I'm pretending to attack him and wake him up in his sleep and make him apologize for all the bad shit he did. And I make him apologize for like weird shit that he didn't even do. And then after like I'm like have my arm on his throat and I'm attacking him in his sleep, he's apologizing. We didn't script this at all. I just said I was going to wake him up and make him apologize. And after he apologized for everything, he's doing the cry face and the acting, whatever, all improv. I pull the blanket off of him and I just start smacking his body, slapping the shit out of him. So I would hit Onision. I already have, playfully. I'm not a violent guy unless I need to be.
Episodes with Billy the Fridge. On the next episode, things would get even worse, as the episode started off with the host making fun of the fans who were upset with the kayfabe, or for getting butthurt at Paul being made fun of.
You could tell this guy was butthurt. The narrator, you could tell he was butthurt.
Kind of depressed tonight, guys, to be honest.
Yeah, Scotty
Why
has
is
a
that?
big announcement to make,
Go ahead,
everybody.
go ahead.
It's depressing. It's sad that I have to say this. You know, if people were talking about the whole thing, it has to do with what happened with Paul and Billy. Okay, look, you know, people say kayfabe, people say real or fake. That's not the issue here. The issue is, Paul, I have to tell you this. I've been doing this a long time, Paul. And I've been on podcasts, been involved in YouTube, you know, for about 10 years with TJ. And, you know, I've dealt with all kinds of TJ's fans, most just normal, whatever people. But just the people I've met that are attracted to you, Paul, as a person and your personality are just horrible people, Paul.
It sucks that like this couldn't have gone on, because I think this would have been a fun little storyline if everybody wouldn't have just like flipped out and been so into it. Like, this could have been entertaining. I mean, I think it would have been fun. Not saying that anything else isn't fun or entertaining, but this was a risk. This was a risk the peasants were going to take, and it would have divided. It would have been a peasant civil war. And I think it would have been fucking hilarious. Look at Scotty right now going in. And it's not like Paul can't defend himself. And it's not like this is real anyways, but everybody, like, I guess, thinks inside their heart of hearts that how dare they pick on Paul? Because I think a lot of people identify with Paul. You know, a lot of people feel like, you know, they were Paul around as a ball as a kid, and they can see, you know, the humanity in Paul. And I think that's why he gets that extra defensive fan base. And there was a moment in the podcast where when I showed up, everybody was like, oh yeah, Paul gets shit talked to him all the time online, audience hates him, so just talk shit to Paul and they will love it. And my buddy who was in the studio with me, he was reading the comments at the time. He texted me, he's like, dude, the chat is fucking loving this, you're doing great. So I was just rolling through, and I kept going, I amped it up more and more and more to the point where it got like vile and mean. But like the moment where I realized I was in trouble for talking shit to Paul was during the broadcast. The peasants were having a t-shirt sale, and they were saying who was in the lead for the t-shirt sales. And at the time, they all had their 4 t-shirts up for sale, and Paul's t-shirt was outselling everybody else's. And that's when I knew I was in trouble for talking shit to Paul, because Paul's fan base puts their money where their mouth is. They identify with Paul. They love Paul, you know. I'm not saying the other guys don't get their fan base there too, but right then and there, those people were speaking monetarily for Paul. They were voting with their money for Paul. And I gotta say, that was the moment where I was like, oh shit, this talking shit to Paul thing, it might bite me in the ass. And, you know, it was fun. The bounce back, it could have been bigger, because when Keemstar hit me up, when Scarce hit me up, I could have went kayfabe with them. Scarce still reported it, but he reported it with, like Billy said, you know, that it wasn't real, but I think it was. Keemstar didn't touch it. Keemstar was the first to hit me up after this happened, and if this would have hit Drama Alert and everything, and I would have tried to game those guys, this whole thing could have blown up a whole lot bigger, I think. But it is what it is. I didn't need people showing up to my house with pee-pee cups and pouring them in my mouth while I sleep.
That's not nice to say.
Hey, excuse me.
Oh,
Excuse me. Is this the Paul show now?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to tell you something, Paul. Look, you know, sometimes in life you have to listen. So can you listen, Paul?
I'm listening.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that, man.
Fans were still outraged in the comments, comparing the peasants to Dusty.
Not going to keep watching these new episodes if it isn't going to be anything other than shitting on Paul. I don't care if it's fake. It's not funny. That's a point. That's a very fair point. I think it was funny because I knew it was fake. Maybe if I was invested in like the podcast to the point where I like felt for these guys on a real basis, and I really thought they were splitting up and attacking each other, I could see why that would be very disheartening, right? But when the term kayfabe was so openly used on the podcast, I don't have the history of saying all 327 episodes prior to this episode that everybody else may have had. So I figured the way that kayfabe was thrown around, this was just a regular part of the podcast, and people would understand this was kayfabe when I was doing it. So I just amped it up 100%, because I was like, oh, they even know kayfabe as the term. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be fucking. We're gonna do some entertaining ass shit together. So this whole time, I just thought, it was all good, but sometimes the people speak because they doth not know the havoc we wreak.
And Onision for faking drama and calling them hypocrites. The outrage was great, and finally, the hosts were realizing that something had to be done. TJ would record a video later apologizing to the fans, and that they were asking for feedback to improve the show.
Yeah, this is what it hit max escalation point, and it was just like, there was nothing else going on other than you need to defend Paul, Billy's mad, or people like, yeah, fuck Paul, I'm gonna throw piss on him too. Which, at the meetup, Paul really got load bearded. Somebody really snuck up to him and slammed a load in his beard. It was like fake jizz, but still, can you imagine somebody coming up to you with a palm full of jizz and slapping it in your face? Would they have been so bold had I not started the pee-pee meme? Was it my fault Paul got a load of jizz in his beard? Did I open the floodgates for poor Paul? Paul's a good sport for most of this too, right? He was in on it from the jump, but he wasn't in on the load beard thing. Yeah, Waffle W says, I would have swung, bruh. I would have had to swing. If you're at the meetup and somebody slaps you in the face with jizz, even you don't know it's fake. You don't know. But things right in the beard, and you get a load of jism in the beard, that's really chill for Paul not to just go in on dude. And I'm not sure if I would have gone in on them. No, I 100% am sure that I would have, at the minimum, grabbed them by the back of their head and used them as a napkin to wipe the jizz off of my beard. That's the minimum I would have done. And it would have emasculated them just enough that they would have felt like they did not get one over on me. Or they would have had to have fought me, and that would have sucked having a fight at the meetup. But if I would have been retaliating in a playful manner. So we'd see how it would turn out. But I could not. You on a professional level, you can't just throw hands. That's the problem. Especially Paul's, he's a member of the podcast, official member, this is their official meetup. If he does something like that and it leads to a fight, he needs to be completely justified in self-defense, or it could hurt the podcast. Crazy kids loading jizz in people's face. Anyways, this is just where TJ ends the whole kayfabe thing. And
every choice that we make on the Drunken Peasants podcast is designed to entertain you.
This is a big point. If the storyline would have played out between Paul and I and the guys, I think you guys would have liked it. I think it would have been entertaining. But we'll never know, because I think the vocal minority was really the ones saying threatening and saying Paul the ones that really got worked. I don't think it was the majority of the audience, because even after this happened and after the kayfabe came out, even after TJ admitted it was kayfabe in this video, for months I was getting these crazy guys that really thought I threw pee on Paul. There's probably still people in here right now watching after an hour of me explaining the situation that think I actually threw pee on Paul. But that's the nature of the beast. So the vocal minority, or even if it was the majority, you know, I don't think it was. I think it was a small amount of people that were just really adamant that it was fucked up. They didn't understand that, you know, this is part of the show. Sometimes you got to pull things back for the vocal minority too. So it got ruined. What could have been great. It's a little pre situation.
We've read a lot of feedback as of late that says the show's gotten stale. And we've heard it enough that I think we have to give it some credence.
This is after it happened. The show's gotten stale. They literally delivered a fucking storyline introducing a young Bill Fridge who has a history of attacking YouTubers, right? I have the history of threatening Onision and showing up and becoming Onision's friend. I have the history of threatening Leafy and then working with Leafy and becoming Leafy's friend. You would think if people did a little bit of research, they would understand this was par for the course. Like, we were introducing this brand of humor and entertainment to the podcast in hopes of things not being stale. They just got too real, probably too fresh. And again, it's not like we planned this out for like weeks before my appearance. On the elevator ride up with Paul pitched the idea to me right before this episode started. And everybody, like when TJ came in, he's like, "So you gonna do the Paul talk shit thing?" We're like, yeah, like they're like fucking awesome. And that's all that really went into the planning for it. But I think that it could have like evolved into something great. I really do. I think it would have been, and it's still like that opened up the relationship. Took some time off, and now I'm back and I host the podcast every once in a while. That's I did the fan meetup and got to play at the fan meetup. It did build into something good, in my opinion. It's been a whole lot of fun working with the entire crew, and I just think it could have been even more epic if this little storyline could have went on.
So we made some artistic, or maybe you'd prefer autistic, choices in the last couple of episodes that we thought were going to be very entertaining for our audience. We thought was going to be very engaging for our audience, and it was engaging.
That's true. It was very engaging. And I think in hindsight, if we would have got together and kind of talked about everything and made a plan, we could have pulled through even with all the anger that the audience was saying. But it's not my place to play, right? This is the Drunken Peasants Podcast. I was a guest. I'm not making any calls. But I feel like we could have steered the ship if we would have stayed the course, and shit could have been just as epic. But you know, that's the sad part of storylines. Sometimes they have to die. But luckily, it got me in the door with the Drunken Peasants, and it's been a fun time ever since. If you guys are watching the channel and you don't watch the Drunken Peasants, because you know I had obviously fans before I got there, you should check it out sometime. This whole wild ride of me and Paul fighting was a rare event. It's usually just guys chill, talking shit, making jokes, and it's fun.
Because a lot of people talked about it. All of our social medias blew up. The DP subreddit was blowing up over this, you know. All the stuff that you want to see, but it wasn't blowing up in a good way. So I think that, you know, at this point, I think that an apology is in order.
The apology. This is where everything got cut off, but even though this apology video came out, more people saw the piss thing. And this is a little thing about YouTube. The action that gets all the attention will always surpass any fallout from that action. So even after TJ apologized and said that it was all a work, it was all kayfabe, even after all of that, for months and months, I was getting blown up by people who were like, "Why'd you throw PP on Paul? Why would you attack Paul? I'm gonna throw PP on you." Even after this admission of kayfabe, because not enough people saw this, you know? They saw the other thing. The same thing happened with like me and Leafy is here when I went after Leafy is here, and that thing fell into like I think there was like 12 million views or something total between me and Leafy is here before me and him actually did a video together showing that we were cool. And those videos only got like a few million views comparatively. So like there's 8 million people out there that think I'm trying to kill this little Leafy is here dude. And there's still people out there probably that think I threw pee-pee on Paul and I'm a sicko. Even though I'm back on the episodes and doing the podcast live in studio with Ben and the guys, like, they probably still think that, because once you open that can of worms, like, I think the quote is, what is fucked cannot be unfucked. And that's just the nature of the beast.
Now, once again, everything we did because we thought you would enjoy it. We thought you would like it. But obviously you don't. And
the loud screechers don't. But I talked to a lot of people afterwards, too, that were like, fucking funny as shit, dude. That was fucking awesome. Fucking hilarious. So, tis what it is. Fucking Ryby had to champion the anti-kayfabe coalition. She's running around like, how could you guys be so mean to Paul? Because Ryby didn't know the Rye babies. The Rye babies.
And, you know, we made a bad decision. So we're backing away from that. We're going to try some new things. I've not talked with the guys yet completely, but I have been talking to a lot of fans, asking them about the kind of stuff that they want to see on this show, and I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys that, who are watching this video right now.
I'm gonna cut off here because this all trails off into the future Drunken Peasants after the episode 328, and I'm really only here to talk about the first episode. And I just want to say that as crazy as it was, and as much hatred as I got, I'm very happy that I did it, because it got me introduced to the whole world of Drunken Peasants, and it's been fucking a fun ride so far, and I don't think it's over. You know, I got plans to go back in and host a couple more episodes, I think, in me, you know? Like we got work to do here. Got to do the episode with Anthony Fantano. I really like Anthony Fantano. I got to chat with him a little bit at VidCon, but I think this episode of Drunken Peasants too, it really opened up me to like that YouTube community beyond like the Leafy community I was in. This got like the guy when I went to VidCon, like the Warskis knew who I was because of this. Some black guy knew who I was because of this. I don't know if Fantano knew who I was. No, Fantano knew who I was before this because he used one of my songs in one of his videos early on my YouTube rise. It was my FouseyTube diss. But like getting those guys to kind of get a look at me was kind of cool. When I went down to VidCon, everybody kind of already knew who I was. So it was a fucking great move, even if it did end in ridiculousness and it didn't pop the fuck out the way that we had planned. I really think it would have. I think it would have been fun. I know it would have been fun if we would have wrote it out, but sometimes you got to make those calls, and the call was made to cut it out. But watching this little narration this guy put together of it made me trigger and remember that moment. And now that I've been a bigger part of the Drunken Peasants podcast than just that episode, I felt like it'd be fun to go back and talk about it, you know? That's really why I did this. This little episode here, because speaking on the situation is something I never really did officially. So, you know how it is. You know how it is, guys. There will be more Billy the Fridge Drunken Peasants collaborations in the future. I am sure of this. I've gotten to sit down and talk with all the guys one-on-one, and you know, they're all fans of my work to an extent. So I'm fans of theirs, and I think that means there could be some collaborations in the future. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that it's going to be a good time. To everybody still watching right now, this is a very short episode. We're going to cut it off about an hour. We've been going for about an hour now. I do got a new album coming out. It is in the process of being delivered to the iTunes store, so it's not out just yet. It's gonna be out very soon. I'm gonna play a song off the album for you guys to listen to as we cut out of this episode. This song is actually the last song on the album, so it's fitting that it's going to end this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Any last minute donations, you can go down below. Streamlabs, you know the money's always going to be put to good use. Seriously though, the album's out very soon. I'm going to set up some t-shirt sales and stuff to go with it. So if you guys want to support me, that would be a wonderful time to do so. This song is called Out of This World. It is the last track on my new upcoming album, Almost Out, Ill. I'm taking off on a makeshift spaceship. Next stop, other side of the moon. The lid's off, so I take a sip, facelift. You talking shit, but my rocket ship, boom. Full throttle, but the bottle getting empty. Don't tempt me, I'm looking for a reason. Whiskey barrel to my mouth, don't test me. Trigger finger on the tap, start squeezing. Looking to the rear view, earth behind me. Getting tiny as the stars grow closer. Where is home? Wait, don't remind me. Going home means the party's over. I'm out of this world, I'm out of my mind. I'm out of my own, I'm out of my grind. I'm out of this world, yeah. I'm out of this world. I'm out of this world. I'm all out of beer too. Staring at the earth while I'm looking through my rear view. Yeah, I'm out of this world. Yeah, I'm out of this world. On the space station with some white Russians. We ain't talking about cosmonauts. Stay wasted, maybe fight something. Chase it down with some vodka shots. Awful thoughts in this life I lead. Deep space all alone in the galaxy. Things change, hitting hyperspeed. Drunk and lost in a sunken cost fallacy. All I need is some weed in the cosmos. Kick back, relax, and watch the northern lights. Someday, maybe we will be the fossils. Another species will be thinking that there's more to life. I'm out of this world, I'm out of my mind. I'm out of my own, I'm out of my grind. I'm out of this world, yeah. I'm out of this world. I'm out of this world. I'm all out of beer too. Staring at the earth while I'm looking through my rear view. Yeah, I'm out of this world. Yeah, I'm out of this world. Flying home, crashing into satellites. Out of sight, driving into outer space. Styrofoam, syrup with a can of Sprite. Got a light, coughing up a cloud of bass. Back home on the couch, sipping 40s. Looking for a pillow I can rest on. Pop a pill, watch a little Rick and Morty. Wash it down, more sauce than the Szechuan. Been gone so long, brain twisted. I missed it, enlisted on another trip. Beer bottle and a shot, double fisted. On some other shit, take me to the mothership. I'm out of this world, I'm out of my mind. I'm out of my own, I'm out of my grind. I'm out of this world, yeah. I'm out of this world. I'm out of this world. I'm all out of beer too. Staring at the earth while I'm looking through my rear view. Yeah, I'm out of this world. Yeah, I'm out of this world. Thank you guys again for watching. I will be back again soon. Have a good night. All right. Love you and goodbye. Bye-bye.